Hello, my spooky people. This is not at all what I wanted to do for this video. I actually rage quit on a project, so subscribe if you want to watch that. Because of that rage quit, I needed something comfortable, something a little bit more within my wheelhouse that I knew I'd be able to do comfortably and just have something successful happen. So, for this video, I will be making a summer-y dress. It is officially summer, and when we bought this house, it didn't come with air conditioning, somehow. Whoops, but that's fine. It's been a pretty mild summer here so far. I don't think it's gotten above 80 yet. It's been pretty mild here, thankfully. An open window is just enough to help cool down my room, but there is something that I did notice I am lacking in my wardrobe, and that is something a little bit more summer appropriate. I do have a few, maybe one or two sleeveless dresses, but nothing I'm super proud of, nothing that, I actually put any effort into. I think I've got a few like pre-bought things, but I wanted to make a summer-ish dress for this video, so I found a pattern from 1972. I think the middle one with the open back, like a halter top, fitted bodice, and a very flowy open skirt, I think is going to be perfect for me to survive summer. So I think we're going to make this, and I've got some galaxy print bed sheets. Galaxy is fun and also something that fits well within my wardrobe, so I'm going to use that to make this dress. This dress is a 20.5, and I am a size 14. I'm going to spend some time doing some mock-ups, getting the size correct on this garment, and then make a dress out of that. So let's go do that. First things first, I need to transfer the pattern onto some wrapping paper to start adjusting these. So I'm going to lay it flat and trace the lines and all of the markings for the darts and such. This pattern is pretty simple, with just a front and back bodice and then a front and back skirt with 4 pattern pieces total. This pattern is a size 20.5, and generally I'm a size 12 to 14. The packet has the bust, which is really the only fitted part of this dress, at about 6 inches bigger than what I'll need, so I'm going to use that as a start for how much to remove from the pattern first. I'm going to work on the bodice first, and then adjust the skirt patterns afterwards to just match those measurements. So with the first round of adjustments made, I'll go ahead and start my first mock-up out of some scraps and bed sheets. The bodice has 2 darts on the front and 2 on the back pieces, so I'll quickly sew up the darts and then the side seams, and then I can check the fit. Alright, so mock-up number 1 is pretty good. Honestly, for the first mock-up, I'm real happy with how it's fitting. It is a bit snug and it's also small. There is going to be a zipper back here, so I'm going to need to add a little bit more than I think. I'm going to go for like 1.5 inches just because of how big this gap is, and I'm gonna need a zipper there. I think that's the only thing I really need to do. I'm pretty okay with the darts and everything and what they did for the fit. Next up, I'm gonna do another bodice mock-up with the back adjusted, and then hopefully I'll be able to get the skirts adjusted and have a new dress soon. Mock-up 1 got pretty close, so I'm going to just add a little bit more onto the back bodice piece and try that. Mock-up number 2. And we fit! This is going to be folded around a zipper, so it'll end up pretty centered like that. The only thing I really want to change about this is the tie length. It's kind of hard to get a bow out of this, so I think I'm going to add just like 4 or 5 inches, nothing crazy. Up next is the skirt. So I'm going to grab the measurements for these lines because the pattern is supposed to line up with the center side seams. So I'm going to grab those measurements, adjust the pattern, probably add that skirt mock-up to this, and hopefully have a working pattern to make a dress soon. Mock-up 2 is nearly perfect, so now I just need to grab the measurements from the bottom of the bodice and adjust the skirt patterns to fit that. Once the skirt pattern is adjusted, I'll cut it out, then sew up the side seams and attach it to the bodice mock-up. Mock-up number 2, and I'm honestly pretty happy with this. I haven't done anything to the bodice. This is just for the skirts. They're a little bit big still. You can kind of tell with how puckered they are. These are supposed to be super smooth, super flat. They are not. I'm pretty sure this front panel of the skirt ended up being like maybe half an inch too big, and while I was able to ease it in, I'm not super happy with how eased it looks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove half an inch from the front. And then the back one, let's see, this one you can see a little bit easier. There's some puckers, there's some more gathers, it's poofy. This one was an entire inch too big, so I'm gonna go ahead and take an inch off the back, half an inch off the front, and then just make the dress because I'm pretty confident that it'll just be fine. So let's go do that. Alright, so some tiny adjustments to make next, but like I said, I'm pretty confident that I can move on to the final dress after I fix this pattern. So to start the final dress, I've already washed the sheets, so I can just go ahead and trace the pattern onto them and then cut it out. I need to cut 4 of each bodice piece, so I'll trace those out twice, while the skirt pieces only need 2 each. Instead of dealing with any facing, this pattern has the bodice lined with just another layer. Turns out that we got a duvet cover along with some fitted sheets for this, and I was able to do this entire dress out of only about 3/4 of the queen size duvet cover, which is fantastic to me. I have so much more of this fabric left over, but I have no clue what I'm going to do with it. Once that's cut out, now I need to sew all of the darts in the bodice pieces, which ended up being 12 darts total. Each dart I'm going to ease the bobbin thread very slightly and then tie it off by hand, which will help smooth it out so I don't have any sharp angles on the dress later. With the darts done, I'll sew up the side seams of the bodice and then along the center front seam of the skirts. I'll roll and press the skirt seam allowance and then sew that down to close that raw edge off camera, making me wish I had just done a French seam there, but the tip wouldn't have turned out correct if I did that. Oh well. I will, however, go ahead and do French seams for the side seams on the skirt. Next is the center back seam for the skirt, which I'm going to do with just a regular 5/8 inch seam allowance, starting at a point below the waistline for the zipper later, which I'm going to avoid for as long as I can. I now need to sew the center front seams of the bodice, creating 2 separate bodice pieces. One will be the lining and the other will face out when I wear the dress. Once I have the outer and lining layers of the bodice put together, I'm going to give them a good press, making sure all of those darts lay as flat as I can before pinning them together with the wrong sides facing out. I'll then sew along the top edge, including the long ties. Next, I'll turn the bodice right side out, clipping corners and seam allowance where I need to, and then I will press it flat. I'll then pin the outside half of the bodice to the top of the skirt, easing it in where I need to. I'll sew this 1/2 at a time to try and get that peak correct, and I think I got close. It could still use a little bit of improvement, but I'm not super upset about it. No more avoiding it. I need to do the zipper now, but I'm gonna be lazy about it. So I'll press the seam allowance of the dress and then just pin that to the zipper in place and sew it down. Now I need to close the lining of the bodice. I'll go around and fold down the lining, pressing and pinning it in place to make sure that it's all where I want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and sew the bottom edge of the bodice down by hand, just to the seam allowance. I don't want the seam showing up on the other side. Once I get that done, I'll then take it back to my machine and close the lining around the zipper and along the top edge to set that permanently. Final thing I need to do is finish the bottom hem, which I'll do with some bias tape because that's easy and fast for me. I'm very happy with this. This is exactly the kind of project that I needed. It went by so smoothly. As soon as I got the pattern in the right size, everything just went by so fast and so easy. Honestly, this was such a great, easy, like, simple project that I might do more of these, like in different colors and different fabrics later on, just to have more. Let's see, what went well, what didn't. The mock-up phase went by really smoothly. I didn't have too many hiccups there. Sizing this was perfectly easy. Very happy with that. I think I got it in like 2 or 3 mock-ups, and that was great. Usually it doesn't happen that fast, but it did for this one, and I'm very glad it did. Something that didn't go so well is the seam finishings. When I started the project, I was very unsure how I was going to finish all of the seams. I knew that the bodice would be basically double layered, so I wouldn't have to worry about that too much, but when it came to the seams on the skirt, I was a little bit lost. I was able to do French seams on the side seams, but the front and the back couldn't. There's a point on the top of the front 2 pieces that made a French seam kind of hard, and then the back seam, because of that zipper, I'm sure I could have figured it out if I really sat there and tried, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to get this done and over with, so I might go back in and do an improvised rolled seam there. I do wish that I had some pockets on this. This is loose enough and will drape correctly that if I just put some insert pockets on the side seams, it would be fine. I wish I thought about that before I finished it, before I did the French seams on the sides, but I didn't, so it's okay. Pockets, I think, are my biggest regret here. Even with the back seam not being fully finished, that's fine. This garment was made for comfort, not necessarily for like a date night item, and because of that, it was a little bit hard for me to kind of figure out a styling outfit versus just a wearing outfit. I think I did okay with this, with just a few pieces that I already had, and some fishnet always zhuzhes up things real nice. I definitely didn't have the right shoes for this, but that's neither here nor there. I think this dress came together pretty easy. It was a good comfort project for me, and that's really all I needed. Go ahead and like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Oh yeah! And if you made it this far to the end of the video, go ahead and give me a sparkle emoji, and I will see you next time. Bye!